officers in the vicinity of Upper Gusset stop and detain occupants of green Ford OPG 147. These men are dangerous. Please be terribly careful, chaps.
More villainy, Sarge. What's the world coming to? My Aunt Agatha would hang them all. It's the working classes. First thing we ever did was give them shoes. Oh, blimey, Sarge, it's them. Come on, old boy, tally-ho. I say, Sarge, did you hear about the fearful fight in the village fish and chip shop last night? 2 men got battered. Ho, ho, ho.
Since the motor car was invented, the criminal classes always had a taste for the very fastest getaway wheels. And the police always had a job keeping up.
This miserable 1948 Wolseley 1460 couldn't even catch a cold. Despite an 1800 straight-six engine and twin carbs, it could barely sniff 60. Its wood frame and ancient chassis meant it was just a pre-war design warmed over. Just look at those silly semaphores. But by the early 50s, villains like the young Ronnie Biggs were picking Dagenham's flagship, the 750-pound Ford V8 Pilot. With a side-valve 3.6-litre lump and hydraulic front brakes, it could hit 80. And at a mighty 1.5 tons was built like the Lusitania. The criminal classes were sniggering up their sleeves. Wolseley should have stuck to sheep shearing because the 1460 was a prodigious antique. But it taught Plod an important lesson. The only way to catch the crims was to join them. In its day, the V8 Pilot was one of the fastest cars around, and Plod loved its mid-range heave. Scotland Yard had a dozen of the things specially tweaked, and they were reckoned fast enough to catch anything, even another pilot. The cops and robbers were now neck and neck, but not for long. Ever resourceful, the Blaggers found a new secret weapon, the Jag.
Far out, Harry. Groovy wheels. We could blag every bank in London in this. We could retire, Harry.
The crooks thought the Coventry Cat was the king of getaway cars, and the Cray twins swore by the biggest Jag of all, the Mark 10.
But next time, sweetheart, could you nick us a red one?
To catch Ronnie and Reggie, the constabularies splashed out on S-types.
Sir, what do you call 2 burglars? A pair of niggers. And there's a right pair over there, sir.
Harry, move it, it's the film!
The 3.8 could crack 125 miles an hour, and its E-type independent rear suspension meant it could go round corners too. There was plenty of room for prisoners in the rear, and its voluminous boot could carry 2 High Court judges. The chase was on.
But ironically, it was here, in the back of a police Jag, that most villains ended up. When the Crays were taken to court, they were booked in 2 white S-types and taken up in an armed convoy up the M1 at 130 miles an hour.
Not only were Jaguars easy to steal, they were big and strong enough to carry even bullion, and they flattered the villain's vanity. But the cinematic Jag performed a bit too well in chases and became the stereotypical underworld car. Any cops and robbers TV show or film featured a sideways S-type, and Shepperton Studios were famous for writing off 1 a week. Come the 70s, the Rozzers had wised up and upstaged the robbers with the help of Uncle Henry. In 72, Ford dropped their very wonderful cast-iron 3-litre V6 into their strapping Mark I Granada.
Joe! Wait!
Every police force in the country queued up to own one of the best jam sandwiches of all time.
No!
Who is it?
Flying squad! Open the door, now!
What do you want? He ain't here. I ain't seen him since he come out.
You lying slag, I'll have you later!
In you drain!
From the Sweeney downwards, Plod loved it like their own. It was big, butch, quick, and had plenty of cred with the crims.
There he is! Get him! All right, that's away! Mind the kids! Oh, never mind. Here, George. You hear the one about the old lad who nicked the calendar? He got 12 months. Oi, shut it! Right, George, right! God blimey, George, my granny drives better than you!
The Granny was the 70s version of the Z-Card Zephyr, but much, much better. In standard tune, it could do 120 and didn't handle like a hovercraft in a hurricane. The Metropolitan Police favoured Consul GTs because they were lighter and faster, and by the time the police mechanics had finished with them, they could do 135 flat out. Ford even did a special police pack, stripped out and lightened with stronger front seats for all those heavyweight police bottoms. And although it was officially denied, police cars were tuned to go faster. Engines were ported and balanced, and rear suspensions fitted with heavy-duty springs. Plod had wised up. And in the 90s, the battle continues. This time, the gangsters are into the 240-brake Volvo V70 T5. With a maximum escape velocity of 146 and 60 miles an hour coming up in just 7 seconds, they're blisteringly fast but low profile. And with enough room in the back for half of Hatton Garden, they're a getaway car to die for. But anything the villains can do, Plod can now do better. Because the old game of catch me if you can is finally over. The police have won the battle with a new secret weapon. The ultimate deterrent no longer runs on the road. So if you reckon you still fancy outrunning the boys in blue, don't even think about it. Our last programme of this series is on Monday the 22nd. And we get in the festive mood with the celebration of TVR's 50th birthday. On New Year's Eve you can see the best of this year's highly charged Network Q RAC Rally. And to kick off 98, don't forget Jeremy Clarkson's Extreme Machines. That's in our usual Top Gear slot, Thursdays from January the 8th. And finally, here's a reminder of the address for our researcher applications. And don't forget to include your CV and suggestions for 3 Top Gear stories in less than 400 words each.
And the January issue of BBC Top Gear magazine takes a closer look at the European Car of the Year alongside its closest rivals.